Maybe it's just me and I'm weird, but do you ever have that situation where you and your friends are sitting around and talking about a random topic and it gets stuck in your head? Well, right now that's actually happening to me. So late last night, me and some buddies went to go see Avengers Endgame and absolutely loved it. But before the film actually started, we were sort of just discussing the idea of the next console generation, because it seems like it is coming very soon over the horizon. It seems like within the next year and a half, we could be seeing something like a PlayStation 5, the Xbox 2, and possibly an upgraded Nintendo Switch. And people are already beginning to try and guess who will win. And today I wanted to actually talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is a topic that is very, very interesting to me because while this is a little bit in the future, we have some pretty big clues already pointing as to how these companies are planning on handling the next console generation. Let's start off by talking about Sony, because right now I do think that they are, well, the winners of what's going on right now. They actually just released their latest financial reports, and they have sold nearly 97 million PlayStation 4s, which is a mind-melting amount. And now they've actually started to do a series of interviews and stuff about what exactly the PS5 is going to be. And it sounds like, well, it seems like they want to try and replicate the magic they've already created. Sony is not run by dumb people, even though sometimes they do make dumb decisions. And I think that they realized that the main thing that they did absolutely correct this generation was games. They just stood out of the way, they let everybody develop stuff, they just basically made it a point to just cram out everything they could as fast as they could, as best they could. And this ended up being a huge success for them. They got so many exclusives out the door that people kept being forced to buy the PlayStation 4, and it worked. So going into the PlayStation 5, I absolutely think they're going to try and do this again. I think that what they're going to try and do is basically approach people and say, hey, Sony first, bring it here, bring it to our hardware. And I think that when it comes to the hardware itself, their main idea is probably just going to be improved polish, but they're not going to try and reinvent themselves. The PlayStation 4 has good graphics, the PlayStation 4 Pro obviously has upgraded graphics. I think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be a small step above that. I think that the graphical jump this time around is not going to be enormous. The jump between PS3 to PS4 wasn't that big, and I think we can expect about that much of an improvement again. It will look better, it will have better polish, but instead, I think that Sony's main idea is trying to change the way we play. It seems like they want to try and do things like put a solid-state hard drive in there and basically, well, sort of basically make it where there won't be load times, or make it where games can be a lot bigger than they ever have been. And I think that this is a gamble that could work for them. Mostly because a lot of gamers these days don't care about all the bells and whistles. They don't care about all the giant special stuff. They just want to have a straightforward gaming experience appear on their screens as efficiently as possible, and it seems like Sony is trying to provide that. Additionally, though, they are going to probably really up their experimentation when it comes to the PSVR. So actually, just as a true fact, this week I finally actually bought a PSVR headset, and I've been messing with it, and it's pretty good. I actually want to have a big video ready for this on Monday, so keep your eyes open for that. And we can tell that they're actually trying to double down on this. It sounds like Sony wants to try and expand the idea of VR to be a lot bigger and maybe more crazy. I mean, I'll be honest, PSVR is interesting and it's decent, but it's not a game changer, which is kind of funny because I feel like part of the reason that the Nintendo Switch has absolutely taken over is because it is a game changer. So, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think the Nintendo Switch is currently very much gaining steam. They're selling like crazy, and it's because they're doing something different. They're trying to stand out from the crowd, and because of it, it very much is getting them noticed. So obviously, the Nintendo Switch is great, but part of the reason that it is so special is because this is a hybrid. It is able to be handheld and a home console. And I think that, well, I honestly think they're going to be sticking with this for a very, very long time. I honestly believe that Nintendo is going to be treating this thing like the 3DS. Now, what I mean by that is that in the long run, I think they want to try and keep this on store shelves as long as they possibly can. Even when the PlayStation 5 is out, even when the Xbox 2 is out, I fully believe that we're still going to be seeing this version of the Nintendo Switch out there and playable. Even though there are a lot of rumors about a Nintendo Switch Pro coming out at some point in the next year or so, I do not believe an upgraded Switch will play different games than this. It may actually upscale them, it may make them have better graphics and stuff, but this is going to be the main Nintendo console probably for years to come. I mean, keep in mind, the Nintendo 3DS sold like crazy, and it actually released back in 2011. I mean, just really thinking about that, it's basically showing the fact that Nintendo, with proper marketing and good support, got 8 years out of that little tiny handheld. And I think that if they play their cards smart, they can absolutely replicate that success. So as of now, they actually just recently reported that they have already sold over 37 million Nintendo Switches. And I honestly believe a big key to that is because Nintendo is actually trying to focus on the basically neglected demographics. Right now I see a lot of PC gamers buying a Nintendo Switch because nobody else has basically made tablet gaming this good, and I do consider it a tablet gaming device in a good way. Also, casual gamers. I feel like a lot of casual gamers have been a little bit intimidated by giant expansive games like Witcher 3 or Apex Legends on current consoles, and so they see Nintendo as the safer option. I mean, I actually have real-life friends of mine who basically haven't played a game in 15 years, bought a Nintendo Switch, and now sometimes I'll see them online, and they've played hundreds of hours of things like Breath of the Wild or Hyrule Warriors. And to me, that is a testament to the fact that Nintendo is basically focusing at the gaps. Nintendo realizes that they can sell stuff even if they don't have the shiniest, craziest games. And I think that going to the next generation, they're absolutely going to stick with this. They're just going to keep going, okay, you guys go over there and make freaking Skyrim 6 and all that. We'll be here just making what we want. And I honestly believe that the developers are going to stick with them. Yes, it's true that the games that'll appear on Switch may be slightly downgraded, but they did the same thing with the Wii. They were actually porting games to the Wii for such an enormous amount of time because they kept selling. I mean, they could make the most downgraded, crappy, crazy version of Call of Duty and it would still sell 1 million units, and so it's easy money. I absolutely think that they're going to keep supporting the Nintendo Switch until it just completely goes off the cliff of sales. Now, that kind of brings me to the Xbox too, because they're in a very interesting predicament. Right now, Microsoft is, well, I mean, debatably, they're losing. The rough estimate from Good Research shows the fact that they've probably sold about 41 million Xbox One so far. It's a little bit difficult to ascertain the exact figures just because Microsoft themselves has stopped reporting all their hardware numbers, but it seems like this is pretty close to what may be 100% accurate. So going into the next generation, they're going to be behind. And so I think that Microsoft is in a very cool spot, in my opinion, because A, they're desperate, and I actually mean this in a positive way because desperate game makers end up making better games. And 2, I think that Microsoft has the deepest pockets. Now you gotta keep in mind, Sony and Nintendo are game companies. Yes, Sony has other districts, like they make laptops and TVs and cell phones, but their predominant profit source right now is the PlayStation brand. So I think that these companies are very, very reliant on trying to expand what already works, and they can't experiment too much. Whereas Microsoft, they have literal hundreds of billions of dollars to do whatever they want with. And so because of it, right now they're swooping in and buying everything they can. Some of the most talented and strongest developers in the entire industry right now are getting scooped up like crazy by Microsoft. And I think that this is a huge power play to take over the Xbox 2 generation. Their idea is, okay, if nobody wants to play nice, we're going to play by ourselves. But when we play by ourselves, we're going to play up in our giant mansion and invite all the cool kids to join us. I think that this is basically them trying to go, okay, if developers aren't going to willingly come to us with their exclusives, we're going to make exclusives. I mean, just look at the fact that the people who made Hellblade are there, people who made Outer Worlds are there. It's basically setting itself up for the next generation. It has the potential to absolutely dominate. I do think that Microsoft is going to really streamline their focus though, because let's face it, the number one mistake they made this generation, in my opinion, basically the only mistake they made, was the fact that there just was not enough games. There wasn't enough stuff to just make gamers happy and thrilled and excited to pick up an Xbox. So I think that next generation, they're going to try and rectify that. I don't think they're going to bother with VR. I don't think they're going to try and sell you a million controllers like they did this generation. I think that their goal is just going to be, okay, what's a big RPG? Let's make that. Okay, what's the top shooter? Let's make that. Okay, can we make our own knockoff of Grand Theft Auto? I think that Microsoft is going to try and buy their way into success, and it very well might work. Now, honestly, I'm going to give my opinion on who I think will win. All of these people I think are going to do very, very well. Nobody is going to lose. They're all going to make good profits. But if I really had to pick a singular winner, I do think that it might be Nintendo next generation, and I say that because I think that they're going to repeat the success of the Nintendo Wii, which is that they are going to be in every house. And also, I think the interesting thing is, with all the talk right now of the Switch Mini and stuff, I think that going into the next console generation, a lot of people are going to have multiple Switches per household and maybe multiple games. I mean, imagine if a bunch of 13-year-olds all get a Switch Mini. All of them are going to install Fortnite. All of them are going to want to buy the newest Call of Duty. All of them are going to now be multiple buyers in one household. And I think that Microsoft and Sony may have a little bit of trouble replicating that success, since Microsoft and Sony, in my opinion, aim at a higher demographic. They aim for people in like their late 20s and early 30s. It's hard to say, and I think it really comes down to how good the hardware is and how good it's priced. I still think that there's a strong chance that the PlayStation 5 absolutely dominates for the first year and a half, and then Microsoft catches up before maybe Nintendo ends up winning. But it's hard to say. Obviously, this is all years in the future. What do you think? Are you excited for the next console generation? And what do you think of all the leaks and rumors that have been going around? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh man, no matter what, I am hyped. It is going to be very, very lit. Wait, I'm old. I'm not supposed to say lit. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.